the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Sam Menzie, and we have a great show for you today. First topic we're going over is the Dodgers and the rotation shakeup. After that, we'll be going over Cody Bellinger's injury and the impact it had on the free agent market. Then, some all-star replacements, Aaron Judge and the offer the Rays made to him, and some hitter power rankings. But before we do all that, I would like to ask you to please like and follow the show. We do get a number of questions from viewers, so to ensure that your question does get read in the air, please use the link, gsmcpodcast.net. It really does help the show, and it really does mean a lot, so thank you so much for that. And let's get into the show for today. All right, so first topic we'll be talking about here today is, of course, going to be about the Dodgers, as I said, and just talking about their rotation shakeup and just what went on with it. So, yeah, let's get into it. So, news did break around, I'd say maybe a day or 2 days ago, that Tyler Glasnow of the Dodgers, of course, was going to be being placed on the injured list with the back issue. Now, this has been Glasnow's first injury with the Dodgers this year after a really clean bill of health after coming over in the huge trade this offseason from Tampa Bay. Of course, Tampa, I'd say one of the biggest reasons they traded him was because of his lengthy injury history. Glasnow was an amazing pitcher when he was on the field with Tampa, but that was a big if. You know, when was he on the when he was on the field? That was a big was, I should say. Because he wasn't on the field a lot. You know, he had Tommy John. He had some other injuries as well that were limiting him during his time at Tampa Bay. So, as much as he was a very good pitcher there, he was, I would argue, top 5, top 10 in the world when he stepped on the mound. It wasn't a lot because of the injuries and because of the setbacks he had. So, when trading him to the Dodgers were getting an ace-level pitcher, a guy who had incredible amounts of talent, but they really need someone who could stay on the field. And really, throughout his tenure with Los Angeles, going back home to LA, he has done that completely. This is his real first injury with the Dodgers that has allowed him to miss a start. So nothing too crazy. Again, it's a back injury. I think any injury that comes to a pitcher and that's not involving your arm, your shoulder, your elbow, anything involving your arm is a big positive. So, you know, right before the All-Star break as well, he's not going to miss that many starts, maybe 1, 2 at most. So it's not exactly like it's a huge injury here, but it is something that was needed to be talked about. So, yeah, it was interesting to see Glasnow be placed in the injured list. A lot of people think it could just be the phantom IL to be able to rest him before the All-Star break and then a little after that as well as we gear into the trade deadline and when things kind of start getting serious, which I could also understand. I think that could be right. So, yeah, but not a big deal, I don't think. Again, the back issue seems like it's very minuscule, and the Dodgers are doing that, just doing it because, again, they just want to be very careful with him. With all the injuries they've had this year, they really want to make sure that Glasnow is fully okay, and they really just don't want to risk it. I mean, you look at the Dodgers right now, they have an IL rotation of Tyler Glasnow as your ace. You have Shohei Ohtani as your second pitcher, Yoshinobu Yamamoto as your third, Clayton Kershaw as your fourth, and then Walker Buehler as your fifth. And then your depth is Tony Gonsolin, Dustin May, and Emmett Sheehan. So that's better than a lot of people's rotations, and it's just who's on the injured list for the Dodgers. So obviously have had a lot of injuries this year for this team, and not really surprising that they wanted to be able to make sure Glasnow was okay, put him on the injured list, and just rest him to obviously make sure that everything was all right. So, with Glasnow being placed on the injured list, we also had another piece of Dodgers news that actually was not positive, so it was negative, I'd say, and that was that Bobby Miller, he was placed on the injured list by the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, Miller has had a very up-and-down career so far. Last year did come up and make his MLB debut. Sorry, it was 2023. Apologize. Made 22 starts in that year as well. So, yeah, but Miller came up as a top prospect with this Dodgers team, a pitching prospect who had a lot of pedigree. I knew about him as well. I really liked his pitches. I liked the way he was able to mix them up and just really be a pitcher in general. So overall, you know, this is a big call up by the Dodgers, and Miller unfortunately really has not lived up to the pedigree that there was when he was called up. Really has not lived up to being the pitcher they thought he would be, and so far has not done great in his MLB career, and now has been sent down by the Dodgers. So when he did come up in 23, sorry, I was wrong again. So first I said 2023, then I said no, I was wrong, 2022. Now it's 2023. I was right the first time. I don't know why I doubted myself. Sorry about that. When he came up last year in 2023, as I said, he made 22 starts, which was very important for them as they, again, had a lot of injuries, had a lot of guys on the IL, and being able to have one of your top prospects in Bobby Miller, who was also an older prospect, 23, 24, it wasn't exactly like, oh, he was still developing. No, he was pretty much developed for a starter. Come up, make 22 starts, had a 3.76 ERA, 124 innings pitched. Obviously, very nice there. And then you look at his K per 9 as well. Last year was 8.61, which is obviously very fantastic. Walk per 9 of 2.32, which is not bad whatsoever. K percentage 23%, walk percentage 6.3%, K to walk ratio 17.2, which is pretty good for a pitcher of his young caliber. Left on base percentage of 71, which is also pretty good. FIP of 3.51, so obviously it wasn't exactly like he was getting fully lucky. He was just having a very solid, good rookie season, and he looked to be a promising young pitcher for this Dodgers team. Looked to be a guy that could definitely be a difference maker for this team going forward. And the Dodgers have always had a ton of good pitching prospects, and I think Bobby Miller was just adding on to that array of talent and has been fantastic so far in his MLB career. And then things coming up this year, he was slotted in to be the 4 or 5 guy in that rotation, and was supposed to be a big part of this Dodgers rotation, and it really has not gone well. He's honestly been a disaster this year, and the Dodgers have now sent him back to AAA, and really it's a misstep in his career. So you first of all look at his ERA. So looking at his ERA this year, it is going to be at a 8.07. So that's obviously as bad as it gets, I'd say. His expected ERA is 6.02, which I'd say goes down significantly from his ERA last year being 3.76 and expected ERA being 3.40. FIP went from 3.51 to 6.31. His expected FIP went from 3.75 to 4.59. His pitching WAR went from 2.8 to negative 0.3. So obviously a lot has gone wrong for Bobby Miller, and I think we're asking a lot of questions. Why? And really, I think there's one obvious answer if you look at his numbers, and it's the control. So last year, of course, he only walked 2.32 per 9 walks per 9. So obviously, that's how many people he walked per game, and that's not bad. It really isn't, and I'd say it's pretty good actually. And this year, it's at 5.59. So that's bad. That's really, really bad. His K to walk ratio just went up significantly, and went down significantly. That's what I really should say. And man, it's just been really, really bad, and has not been something that you really would like to see. So the way that Miller has just regressed this entire year with the Dodgers has been really unfortunate, and overall has just been something that the Dodgers are really not counting on, I'd say. I think that the Dodgers really do need to have a starting pitcher right now, and the way that Miller has been producing, I think, really adds on to that. I think they were really banking on Miller being a star pitcher, a guy who could go in their rotation, have consistent, good starts, and he really has just not done that. He's been very bad, really has taken a big step back within his career. The thing that I would say, though, is a positive about Miller is that it's not like he's taken a little step back and just become a 5 ERA kind of pitcher, something like that. I shouldn't really say small step back. That's still a big step back. He's had such horrible stats that there has to be something wrong with him. It's not just like, oh, the league's figuring him out so he's going to get worse. No. These stats are so bad that there's obviously either something mentally, physically, or mechanically wrong with him. There has to be something like that, because you don't just go from a 3.76 ERA to an 8 ERA because the league figured you out. No, the league figuring you out is something that is going to happen for all young pitchers. But it's not something that's going to happen where it's going to raise your ERA 5 points. That's just not going to happen. So there's obviously something mechanically, mentally, or physically wrong with Miller. And if any organization can figure out what it is, it's the Dodgers. They are wizards with this kind of stuff, and be interested to see what Miller's future looks like. And I do still think there's a lot going for him. But man, I mean, if you watch that Dodgers game versus Phillies game, I believe yesterday, the day before yesterday, first game of that series where he gave up all those runs, and when he pitched, I believe it was 8. It was really rough, and he did not look good. So hopeful for him to get back where he needs to be, and back where the Dodgers would like him to be, and has a long, prosperous career. But going to the Dodgers now, I mean, I think they do need to have a starting pitcher at the deadline. And I know I've connected them a lot to Garrett Crochet of the White Sox, who I think makes a lot of sense, but I think they could get some younger arms as well. Not younger arms, I mean more, less costly arms, what I should say, because Crochet, man, is he going to get a prospect package. But I think maybe getting a reunion with Tyler Anderson would be nice, A reunion with Nathan Eovaldi would be interesting. Maybe a reunion with Max Scherzer. Apparently, they at one point had every single starting pitcher available at this deadline. I think that would be interesting. I think some other veteran arms could be good as well. Jack Flaherty, bringing him back to Los Angeles where he grew up, would be really cool. So there are a lot of arms that could be available for this Dodgers team. They have the prospect capital to get anyone. They always do. That's why the organization is so amazing. So it'll be interesting to see who the Dodgers do end up acquiring, because believe me, they're going to acquire someone. Andrew Friedman does not sleep, and he will definitely end up getting someone. So it will be interesting to see who they do get. And yeah, just watching this Dodgers team, watching this rotation specifically, and yeah, I'll be very, very interested to see what is going to happen with them, and yeah, just what storylines are going to emerge with this Dodgers team, and what is going to happen with them going into the trade deadline, and with their players as well, like Bobby Miller, who will be interested to follow in AAA. That is it for our first segment here, talking about the Dodgers and the rotation shakeup. Moving into our second segment here, which is going to be talking about Cody Bellinger and the center field trade market, going over Bellinger and his injury and just how that is going to affect the center field trade market. So, yeah, we're going to go into that, and we'll see you after the break. So thanks, and bye.